Welcome to Game Fondue Reviews. In this video we're going to take a look at Innovation. Innovation is essentially a civilization-esque card game where you're going through the ages from prehistory to the information age. Let's jump right in with a description of the rules, see a few turns played, and then I'll finish with some closing remarks. This is Innovation, set up for a two-player game. To set it up, you separate the piles based on age and you lay them out on the board. I went with the circle as described in the rules, but you can do it however you'd like. And then you take one card from each of the first 9, not the 10th, and put it face down in the center without looking at it. Nobody gets to see it. It's now an achievement. It's not going to be in the game except for scoring purposes. There's 5 special achievements that are going to be face up that everybody can see at all times, and each player gets a hand of 2 cards dealt from age 1, and that'll be for their eyes only. It's just face up here to make it easy. So on a player's turn they get 2 actions, except the first turn of the game or the first 2 turns in a 4-player game where the player will only get 1 action, but generally speaking your turn is 2 actions, and those possible actions can be any combination of meld, draw, achieve, and dogma. The game ends if a player gets a certain number of achievements, and that can be from this group or any combination thereof. In a 2-player game, it's 6 achievements. In a 3-player game, it's 5 achievements. And in a 4-player game, that's 4 achievements. If nobody gets the required number of achievements before somebody has to draw a card beyond age 10, so they have to draw an 11 or so, or a card ends the game that doesn't specify the winner, some cards will end the game and specify the winner, then the player with the highest score wins, not the highest number of achievements. Achievements are kept on one side of your board and score is on the other. We'll understand how those relate in a moment. But those 4 actions that you can take, we're going to go over them now. The first is meld, which is essentially a fancy way of saying you play a card from your hand. So you just take a card and you play it from your hand. If it's the first card color of that type, it starts a new pile. If it's the same color as another, it goes on top of another. So if I had this red card and I played this on top of it, the other card would be hidden. Each player has their own set, so each player can have 5 different piles corresponding to the 5 different colors. The next thing you can do is draw. And the way you draw is whatever the highest top card on your board is. So like we just said, when you meld, you sometimes cover up cards. My top cards right now are only level 1. So if I was to draw, I would draw from age 1. Now if age 1 was empty, I would draw from the next highest pile. So I'd go 2. If 2 is empty, I go 3. You always get to do the draw action if you choose to do so, but you can never go back. So if I have my highest card being a 3 and for some reason I really want to draw a 1, I can't do it. I got to go 3, and if 3 is empty, I go on to 4 and so on. The next action, achieve, is how you get closer to victory in the game. And the way you achieve involves a couple things. You have to have a top card equal or greater than the level of the achievement. So for instance, if I wanted to achieve this 3, I'd have to have a top card of at least a 3. It could be a 4, it could be a 5, etc. But I need at least a 3, and I need at least 5 times that many points in my score pile. And you'll see on this it has a 5, a 10, a 15 corresponding with that. And then achievements are kept face down. Each achievement is essentially 1. The 7 achievement isn't worth more than the 1. And then there's 5 special achievements that have a condition on them. There's also cards that say claim them if they're available, and you would do so, and they would go right on your achievement side, and they count as achievements for victory conditions as well. Now the last thing is dogma. And dogma just means on a card you've already played, it's the card effect on that card. So we have this one here. It is draw and meld a 1. And so what you would do is every dogma has a featured icon here. So you would count the number of that icon on your board. So if your board looked like this, that featured icon would be 1, 2, 3. And you would compare it with the other players. If the other players had more or the same number of that icon, they would get to take the action as well. So if we did this and we pretend this player had 3, it actually starts with that player. It'll go clockwise and end with the player who's the card. They would do that action first. Now the benefit there is at the end, after you do your own action, if somebody else did it, you get a free draw action that you don't have to use as one of your 2 actions for your turn. But otherwise, you just do what it said. So this one you would draw and meld a 1, so you just draw a 1 and you meld it right on your board. This is actually green, so it would go right on top of that one as we discussed. Now, that's a standard dogma action. There's one other type called an I demand, and we have one here. Sorry if it's not zooming in well. The I demand is essentially an offensive action, and it's something the other person isn't going to want to take part in. And the way it works is the same. We count that featured icon. If the other player has less than you, they have to do that. And it's not going to be something that you do. It's going to be something that you're trying to impose on them. Now there's two other things that occur that you cannot choose as an action, but they're pretty standard. The first is score. So some cards may tell you to score things, in which case you would put those face down on the score side of your board. And the other is splay. In this game, you will have stacks of cards in front of you that you've melded, but they may be splayed. So for example, if a card tells you to splay your red cards up, you would do so. And why would you want to do that? Well, now there's more icons showing on your board. So that can help you for taking part in more actions and avoiding I demands. And if you have a splayed set, you would continue the splay. So if I played another red card, I would continue this splay. And you can splay different directions, but only one direction. So if if I'm splayed this direction and a card tells me to splay up, I got to take that back to neutral and then splay up. I don't get to go both ways. That's just the way it is. Also, you cannot have a splayed stack of 1. So if for some reason these two cards are discarded or are scored or what have you, and my stack goes back to 1, I would lose any splay that I had. Let's get cracking with our example playthrough. So each player has a hand of 2 cards, and the way the game starts is each player simultaneously puts a card face down and flips it. And whoever's closest to the front of the alphabet will go first. So this player plays sailing, and this player plays agriculture. So obviously agriculture is more towards the beginning. So this player is going to go first, and each player starts with this card melded in front of them. So they're going to have a hand of 1. So this player is going first, and he only gets 1 action. In all other turns of the game, it's going to be 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. But for right now, because he goes first, he gets 1. And he's just going to use that 1 action to draw. He draws a 1 because that's the highest value card on the top of his board. So in this player's turn, he's first going to use his dogma. So the featured icon is this crown. This player has none, so he doesn't get to take it, the action. So draw and meld a 1. So he draws and he melds that 1. So now he has some more cards on his board. And then for his second action, he's going to play another or meld another card. So back to this player, he is going to first meld a card, and then he's going to draw. Okay, and now it's going to be this player's turn because those are the 2 actions. He's going to use an I demand effect. It's I demand with the castle symbol. You transfer a card with a crown from your hand to my score pile. If you do, draw a 1. Now, because he has 1, 2, 3 castles and this player has none, he has to take in this I demand effect. So he must transfer this card from his hand to this player's score pile. This guy's score pile is now worth 1. So in order to get up to this, though, he still needs 5, so he needs 4 more. And the game continues like this. We're going to move ahead to situations with a little more going on. Welcome back. We're pretty much at the end of the game. It's this player's turn, and I know it's a little bit hard to see. It's really cramped. I tried moving some stuff around as much as I could. Has 5 achievements, one of which is a special achievement, and this player over here has 3 achievements, meaning he is just 1 away. Now, in his score pile right now, he has 1, 3, 5, 9, 13, 17, 18, 20, 30 points. However, you would need at least 35 to claim or achieve the 7. He does have a 7 and an 8, so he's okay. You'll notice some of the piles are splayed, some are not. That happens over the course of the game. But he does have this ability, so you may return up to 2 cards from your hand, which he's going to do. So he's going to return a 5, just goes back to the bottom of its pile, and an 8. Like so. If you do, draw a 10. So he draws a 10, and then draw and score a 10. So he takes a 10, puts it in his score pile. So as you remember, his score pile was at 30, so now it'll be at 40, which is plenty enough to achieve this. So with both requirements met, having at least a 7 on top of one of his piles and over 35 points in his score pile, achieves this 7 and obtains the 6th achievement and wins the game. I really like innovation. I think it lives up to its name in that it is an innovative card game. I like how the cards have many different functions. Even if it's not in front of you and you can't use the dogma effect, it could still be supplying you icons based on a display. It could be points in your score pile, or it could be achievements, which really are points themselves, but it's neither here nor there. It's all kinds of different things that can happen, and there's lots of variety in the cards, and I think it's very, very neat. It does get a little bit chaotic with more than 2 players, but there is a 4-player variant where you break into teams, and that's pretty fun as well. So I strongly recommend this one for anybody that enjoys, fast-paced card games. Innovation is definitely a unique one and definitely a good one. Thanks for watching.